WWE 2K25 gave us a solid universe mode experience, but it failed to push the mode to new heights. With all the rumors and news for 2K26, it sounds like universe mode is potentially going to get a huge push for this year. Will it actually live up to the hype? Let's talk about it. A big reason why people are beginning to think universe mode will get a big push this year actually comes from rumors started about story designer potentially returning for 2K26. Originally though, a lot of people were thinking that it would be bad news for universe mode if story designer returned, because the concern is pretty simple. If 2K is going to spend so much time and resources on a brand new mode, then obviously it's going to mean less time spent fixing and improving universe mode, which already to some feels a bit neglected of a mode. But the more you really think about it, story designer coming back would actually be one of the best things to ever happen in universe mode. Here's why. Story designer would require a massive amount of new cutscenes and rivalry actions to fit in this new character storytelling specific mode. So there's no reason why those assets should then be locked to only story designer and not included in universe mode as well, since it makes sense that all the cutscenes that from universe mode that are already in the game would also be shared with story designer. So if 2K is smart, these new cutscenes should be integrated directly into universe mode as well. And honestly, it doesn't end there. So to make story designer work, they'll have to not just be an expansion of new cutscenes that can fit also into universe mode situations. Because you would imagine story designer would be getting new cutscenes for 3-person, 4-person, and factions, which also means for them to work in universe mode, you can't just add them in. You'd have to finally do the right thing and add 3-person, 4-person, and faction rivalries into the rivalry system so that all these new cutscenes actually line up and make sense. So this would give us probably the biggest thing we've been asking for in universe mode for the past, 5 years, all because story designer is potentially returning. Then also with story designer returning, it could also potentially open up universe mode to some other ideas like more backstage environments that we used to have before. So to do story designer right, there needs to be a bunch of different areas to do promos and things like that. And obviously with that, it means 2K would bring back story designer the right way, which would mean getting cutscenes for backstage interviews, promos in the GM office, contract signings, and potentially many other environments that can further be used to expand upon within universe mode. But also, what if we also get options to attack and brawl in these new environments? Universe mode would immediately be a million times fresher with these cutscene options built upon strictly from story designer coming back and being done the right way. But it keeps going too. A story designer could potentially be the start of giving us production cutscenes as well to use in universe mode. Many of us have been asking for show intros to return, but what if they take it even further? One of the YouTube goats right now, Assemble, has recently been talking about how cool it would be if we can get cutscenes of the superstars arriving to the building like we see on TV every week. That would be a cool addition with these new style of production cutscenes that we could potentially see. But also, what about if we get new cutscenes from story designer that we use in universe mode that go over a couple of matches or segments from the upcoming card? Think about how this release of Madden 25, something by EA Sports, obviously different company, but does something similar where it gives a quick recap and a few highlights of random games throughout the prior week. But in this case, instead, 2K would be doing a preemptive thing of previewing a card. It's something that can easily be done. Maybe not easily, but it's something that has been done and is currently done by another company. So we should honestly hold 2K to those same standards. The possibilities make universe mode so much better in 2K26 just from the potential return of story designer alone are endless, but there's also a lot of other things and aspects that need to be implemented as well that don't involve our potential return of story designer. Let's go ahead and talk about them. The first one is having all rivalry actions available for title matches, whether it's on a PLE or a weekly show. This is a big thing that everyone wants, and it's something they actually did attempt to do in 2K25. It got announced they did fix it, but in reality that was wrong. There ended up being a handful of certain rivalry actions that do actually work for a title match and keep it as a title match, rather than if you add one, it takes the title match stipulation away. But ultimately, this would be a huge addition this year that could fully be added and has been being worked on. If they add any rivalry action possible for any title match in 2K26, it would shake up PLEs. It would make it feel a million times more fresh because every PLE match wouldn't just be the same cut and dry match. You could have distractions, pre-match attacks, etc., to really make every rivalry feel different. And ultimately, even if they don't get all of them fixed and working, at least give us a list of which ones currently do work for title matches, as would make booking universe mode a whole lot easier for us players. Another big thing we need is more variety for rivalries that go beyond the rivalry actions and cutscenes. I feel like the match types are pretty limited. Even if I go in the settings and make backstage brawls, which are a huge thing right now in WWE, if you change your settings to allow them to happen on the shows, it doesn't happen for superstars within rivalries, it just happens for random one-offs. In my opinion, that's just not a great thing to have, because when you think about right now, Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre, all the brawls they're having, it would make sense for a heated feud like that in our universe modes to be able to have backstage brawls automatically be assigned. Also, what about kickstarting rivalries in different ways? What about returning of the number one contenders match? It makes a whole lot of sense. You can have a number one contenders match, and then the winner wins the match, and then the champion comes out and confronts them. It'd be a great way to add more variety and kickstart a new feud. So these are two great ways that, in my opinion, 2K should take a look at to add more variety to rivalries with match types. Next up is branching storylines, but honestly, with how 2K does universe mode with the sandbox, realistically what I more so want is more flow post rivalries. So what I mean by that is I just had a random feud take place where Sami Zayn and Finn Balor, non-title weekly show build-up, then at the PLE they had a non-title match. Sami Zayn got the win, but in the following week, he wasn't booked. Week after that was not booked. Week after that was not booked. And this went on for like 2 to 3 months until he was finally booked again for a new feud. But it just made no sense. He had this big feud, got all the momentum from winning it, and with no payoff. And it just feels like it makes no sense. There's no continuality between anything that's going on. He didn't get rewarded with a title match, nothing. So it just felt like bland just for this, to have a rivalry for the sake of a rivalry. And same thing goes for some champions who will, win a rivalry but then have nothing all of a sudden and don't face off again for their title for another 2 to 3 months. There just needs to be more flow post rivalries and more build and momentum used to push superstars rather than just having random rivalries for the sake of having random rivalries. Next up is better match cards for weekly shows. It's a really complicated thing, so I'm not going to harp too much on it, but there's 2 issues I have. One being, we're still seeing tag matches where one side is random superstars put together without being a tag team or without being allies, and that kind of makes no sense and throws things off for me a little bit. If you like that randomness and you like it, that's fine. Then number 2 is far too often I'm getting 1v1 matches, triple threats, or fatal 4-ways to fill a random spot in a card where it ends up being like all the top stars. And it's like, there's no build behind it. It's a random one-off, doesn't add to anything, not a rivalry. It just doesn't make sense. And honestly, I don't want top stars taking random losses for no reason if it's not telling a story. So I just don't want that. It doesn't really make sense. Those are really my 2 big concerns right now with the match cards and things I would like to see get cleaned up. Next up is fixing automatic rivalries. What I mean by this is basically, if you turn automatic rivalries off, obviously you book them all. But if you leave it on, it only books 2 out of the 4 slots for rivalries. It makes no sense. If I wanted to be forced to book half my rivalries, then I would turn it off. But I have the setting on, so why can't I just book all 4, fill all 4 slots for each show? Because it doesn't right now, which means only you have 4 rivalries booked total, which means that your PLEs, you'll have a couple of random one-off matches that didn't have any build or story. And that honestly just makes your universe mode feel less realistic, less lifeful, you can say. It just doesn't make sense. I understand why they did it, because they want people to be involved with their universe mode. But at the same time, if I have automatic rivalries on, just use up all the slots for me so I can just play all the matches. There's some big quality of life changes I'd like to see get added. One of them being one of the biggest things we've been asking for, which is being able to set tag teams, heel and face, etc., from the base game, and have it automatically be used within universe mode. Already right now, it's interesting because you have, attributes and tendencies you can edit for each superstar and then have the ability to save it over into a current universe mode. But not being able to do it for tag teams and heel and face, I don't understand how they coded it before, but it makes no sense why you can't have that either. That's one thing I would love to have them, update and put into 2K26. Another big one is being able to put superstars in more than one division. Think about how in real life when the New Day dropped Big E, that ultimately flopped, but they talked about how Xavier Woods was still looking for that first singles championship. What about having the New Day in the tag team division, but also having Xavier Woods in the IC division? Or if you're doing like an Attitude Era universe mode, there was a bunch of, mid-card titles going around, and superstars were in multiple of those divisions at once and competing for those titles at once. So that would make Attitude Era universe mode a lot more fun and realistic. If these 2 quality of life changes were really added, it would be great. And those are all the big changes I could see happening for Universe Mode in 2K26, whether it be because story designer potentially returns, or things we've already been asking for and they've already been working on. Is there anything I left out? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.